shortly. Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Welcome to another session of Gems from Srimadbhagavatam. You're very welcome, and I'm glad that you all are joining us today, where we are listening from some amazing glories and some amazing revelation coming directly from Srimadbhagavatam. Please join us for the invocation prayers. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Udiryet Shavatam Swakatha Krishna Punya Shamana Kirtanaha Hridayantasto Bhadrani Vidhunoti Suhasatam Nashtaprayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavatir Uttam Shloke Bhaktir Bhakti Nashtaki. Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Today we are covering 4 verses, and they are directly coming from first canto. Hare Krishna. Yes, 7th chapter, verse 4. So please join us for the recitation of this verse. Bhakti yogena manasi samyak pranihite amale apashyat purusham purnam mayam cha tadapashrayam. Translation by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Thus fixing his mind, and this is for Vyasadeva. So Vyasadeva is fixing his mind, perfectly engaging it by linking it in devotional service, Bhakti Yoga without any tinge of materialism, and thus he saw the absolute personality of Godhead along with his external energy, which was under full control. So this is a very important verse, and we will be looking at different aspects of this particular verse. Bhakti Yogena Manasi. So again, Devashi Narad has told his story and enlightened Vyasadeva, because what Vyasadeva was doing before Devashi Narad visited, he had put it in writing, all the Puranas, except Srimad Bhagavatam, of course, as well as the Granthas, Mahabharata and others. And so, after having done such an extensive work, he was still dissatisfied in his heart. When he was performing his morning duties, he was feeling a void in his heart. Why? He was not able to understand. So sometimes when we are doing something, someone else will have to come and reveal it to us. And that's what Devashi Narad, they say, Narad visited Vyasadeva and said, Vyas, it is amazing that you have written all the scriptures and you have done all the Puranas. Let me check the chat. Hare Krishna. Yes. And it would be very interesting to see that you are still feeling void. And this is the case. Why are you feeling void? Because you have not fully glorified the devotional service unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And this is the key aspect that Devashi Narad is revealing. And then Devashi Narad himself, Sage Narad, reveals his own life story when he was a maidservant's boy and son. And in the company of some Vedantists, when they were serving, his mother was actually a maidservant in a school. And some Vedantists during the 4 Chaturmasya, with the time of rainy season, during that time, they had come and they had stayed in this place, and this is where, as a maidservant's son, he got to taste some remnants and hear some Sravanam of the glories of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, his name, form, activities, pastime, and thus his heart was cleansed. And afterwards, his mother dies because of a snake bite. He is feeling that it is all by the mercy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, because that was the family tie that he was bound with. And so he starts wandering, and finally, when he is engaged in bhakti yoga, in meditation, Lord appears on his heart. And so he feels really enlightened. Hey, Lord appeared in my heart. He had attained perfection up to, he had, the bhav is what Lord imposed, but he had asakti. He had attained perfection all the way to asakti. And asakti is great attachment to the Supreme Personality of God, great dependence on everything that Lord sends our way, and be happy and satisfied in whatever happens in life, which is a very advanced stage in devotional service, or again, devotional life. And so he is trying very hard to again see the Lord, and then he hears the Lord's voice, and Lord reveals to him that it is to encourage him to engage in devotional service. Lord had forcefully appeared in the lotus of his heart. He will not be able to see the Lord in this life, but in next life he would be able to. And lo and behold, he continues to engage in devotional service because he is getting enthusiasm coming from the Lordship. He is eager to see the Lord after this life. So again, after that life, when Lord Brahma again starts a new day, and he comes out from Mahavishnu's body in his spiritual body form, from Brahma's body. So again, from Mahavishnu to Shridaksha Vishnu to Brahma's, and then finally he comes out through that media into his spiritual body. So Sage Narad has spiritual body. His devotional service personified. We have covered this particular aspect in previous classes. Now, after he has revealed, Vyasdev, he is a great scholar. He is a great devotee himself. He is also a literary incarnation. Yet at the same time, we see in this verse some amazing aspects. It says that even Vyasdev, who's a great scholar, great jnani, an exalted personality, he was able to see only through bhakti yoga, devotional service. Bhakti yogena manasi. So manasi means mind. He engages mind in bhakti yoga. So which process is that? Of course, remembrance. Sravanam Kirtanam Vishnu Smaranam. So it's the Vishnu Smaranam. That Smaranam is remembering the Lord. So he engages mind. But how did he engage his mind? That's also very important. He engages mind as is given Samyak Pranihite Amale. Samyak Pranihite Amale refers, Samyak means fully, 100%. Pranihite with great determination. Amale is unalloyed. So it's in pure devotional service with great enthusiasm, with great concentration, when he was meditating on the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Apashyat Purusham Purnam. So he was able to see the Supreme Personality of Godhead fully, completely, in his complete form. Now, when somebody says completely, how do we understand? Acharyas reveal this. Just like sometimes at night we go and look at the moon. Not every night the moon is full moon. It's only on the full moon day night that it is full moon. Otherwise, on other days, if it is Krishna Paksh, the size of the moon tends to reduce till Amavasya, when it becomes nil, when you can't see the moon. And then during the Shukla Paksh, which is the waxing duration of 15 days, it starts to increase in size, and finally till the full moon day, which is the 15th day again, it comes back as a full moon. How do we understand that he is seeing the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Absolute Personality of Godhead in his full form? This is Krishna, because everything is in Krishna. So this is all other Vishnu Tattvas are present in Krishna. So when it is very interesting to hear this, and people say, oh, that's Shirodakshai Vishnu taking avatar. That is correct. That's Varahadev in him. Yes, Varahadev is also in him. That is Krishna. He is the avatar. He is the Ete Chams Kalapumsa Krishnastu Bhagwan Swayam Indrari Vyakulam Lokam Hridayanti Yoge Yoge. So Lord Krishna Maharaj is also an avatar. He is the original avatari. And it is because of Lord Krishna that all other incarnations appear. And these incarnations are revealing the transcendental pastimes so that we become attracted and go back home, back to Godhead. And how the process is through devotional service. So this linking process, yog means linking. Bhakti yogena. manasi. So yoga means connecting with the Supreme, and the process of connecting is through bhakti yoga, not Gyan Yoga, because he had already done the Gyan Yoga aspects itself, not Hatha Yoga. And in Hatha Yoga perspective, which is, the Ashtang Yoga is another name. People do, niyam, and then they do yam, niyam. Yam is things you don't do, niyam is things you must do. Then comes asana, pranayam, pratyahara, uh, samadhi, all the way to samadhi. So the 8 steps process. And it's very interesting that sometimes, even in current times, we see people who are engaged in those activities, and many devotees, they talk about this very common event that happened in a young man's life. He was very much attracted to Hatha Yoga. And in today's time also, people, they go to do yoga. Yoga means, okay, asanas. We are going to do different asanas. And their perspective is long life. Why do you want long life, you ask them? They say, oh, so that we can have more sense gratification, the longer the life it is. So sometimes that is the perspective people have. And this young man, he was very eager to do this, Hatha Yoga of the mind, a silent yoga. And he was reading a big book. And so as he was reading through this book, he's not making any sense. So he puts it in the shelf, but he puts it in the shelf, and suddenly, because of a big book being pushed into the shelf shelf shakes a little, and a book falls down and hits him. So he opens the book, and what does it, there's a page that opens up, and it says, silence meditation is bogus and useless. Which book is this? Perfection of Yoga. So again, this incident is very famous. It happened in Bombay, and so devotees talk about this a lot. And this is where we are also seeing that when Vyasadeva is meditating, he is meditating on the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And he saw the absolute truth in all his glories. So the original Lord Krishna, who includes all other incarnations. So, apashyat purusham purnam. He sees apashyat purusham, this absolute Supreme Personality of Godhead, purnam, with all his glories. This is Lord Krishna. And mayam chatad apashrayam. And also he sees Maya, who is under the control of Lord Shri Krishna. So in the purport, I'm trying to cover the purport as well as cover some of the commentary as well, so that we can relate to it. We definitely want to do the Guru Prati. And so in this case, when Vyasadeva is engaging, he is engaging not in Hatha Yoga, as people misunderstand. He's meditating his mind in Bhakti Yoga. That's why it's very clearly given, Bhakti Yogena Manasi. And how he is engaging? He is engaging fully. So again, he is engaging very samyak pranihite amle. So he's completely absorbing himself with great determination and without any tinge of mix, again, unalloyed. And so he's able to see Lord Krishna and also see Maya, the external energy of the Lord, who is standing behind him, who's under the control. So in Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna says, Maya adhyakshena prakriti suyate sacharacharam. So Lord Krishna says that this energy of mind, which is under my control, because of this, all these living entities are wandering with different material bodies, char and achar. So the ones who are moving and the ones who are non-moving, all these living entities are there, and they are carrying out various activities. But how do they carry out those activities? We'll be covering in next few verses. Please take a moment to join me in doing Guru Prati so that we receive the blessings from Srila Prabhupada and the Acharyas. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Nitinamine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashyatya Deshitayine Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Mukam karoti vachalam pangum langhayate girim. Yat kripa tadaham vande Shri Gurum Dina Taranam. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. Before I dive into the next three verses, I just want to share a very nice short incident that helps us understand when we approach a guru and how do we approach a guru. So this young man, he goes and to a sage and he says, I want to become your disciple. The sage looks at him. He's a young man, looks very bright. He says, so what is your qualification? So the young man very proudly says, I'm very intelligent. Sometimes we young generations, when we were young, we used to feel that we know the whole world. We know everything that is out there. That's the attitude sometimes that is. Oh, very nice, the sage says. This is perfect. So can you answer me one question? Give me the answer to the question I have. So he says, absolutely, ask me the question. So the sage says, two men, they went down to a coal mine, they came back. One of them has clean face, but the other one has, black coal from the chimney and, coal mine. He has, on his face, some of the coal powder and all. So he's got black face, let's just call it. So who will wash the face first? So the young man says, of course, the one who has black face. The guru says, wrong. Because when the black-faced person will look at the other face with a clean face, he will say, oh, he's clean, so I must be clean. So he won't wash it, but the clean man will look at this black, face, and he says, well, his face is dirty, so my face must be dirty, and he would go and clean the face. Oh, yes, the young man says, you're right. So the old man is like, smiling, waiting for the young man. He says, please give me one more chance. I want to answer it this time, definitely. He says, okay. So let me ask you another question. Two men, they go down the chimney, they come back. One man has a clean face, another one has a dirty face. Who will clean his face first? He says, of course, the man with the clean face. The sage says, wrong. He's like a little confused. But you said, sage said, why? Because the person with dirty face will look at the guy with the clean face. You say, his face is clean, so mine must be clean. And the guy with the clean face looks at the guy with the dirty face. He says, if he's not cleaning, why should I clean? So again, and in this case, if he's dirty, so my face must be dirty. So he goes and cleans his face. So the guy with the clean face will wash his face first. It's like, oh, yes, that is possible because you only see the person in front of you and you make decision according to that. Yeah. So previously I made wrong choice, but this time it makes sense because he will see the guy in front of him. His face is dirty. So my face should also be dirty. And the guy with the clean face will wash his face first. Please, give me one more chance. He says, okay. So the sage asks him, two men go down the chimney. They come back. One man has a clean face. The other man has a dirty face. Who will clean his face first? He's like the man with the clean face. So he says, wrong. Both of them will wash their face. So the young man is puzzled. He says, how? So he says, well, it's very clear. When the other man with the dirty face, he looks at him, he knows that guy's face is dirty. So there's a possibility his face is also dirty. And when he goes to wash his face, the guy says, well, he's washing his face when his face is clean. My face better be washed as well because what if it's dirty? So both will wash their face. So now the young man says, oh, please, forgive me. Ask one last question, please. This time I'll get it right. The sage says, two men go down the chimney. They come back. One man has a clean face. Another man has a dirty face. Who will clean his face first? The young man says, both, of course. Sage says, wrong. The man with the dirty face will look at the man with the clean face. He says his face is clean, so mine must be clean. The man with the clean face looks at the guy with the dirty face and he says, if he's not cleaning, why should I clean? None of them will clean their face. They won't wash their face. Now, what is the lesson we get from this story? Well, the lesson we get from this story is that the question itself is wrong. Because two guys went down the journey, came back. How does that help us in learning the lesson in our lives? Sometimes the question we ask, and that's why the importance of Srimadbhagavatam is, because it's starting with the question that Parikshit Maharaj asked. What should one do? What should be the goal of one's life? And especially of a person who's about to die. These are the most important questions we should be asking ourselves, because they directly pertain to understanding the purpose of this life. And here, in this particular verse, Vyasadeva had heard from Devashi Narad about the devotional service. He is a great transcendentalist, and so he actually practices that. And he, having practiced that, is able to see the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Shri Krishna. Yes, he had seen many times Lord Krishna in his life, but never through meditation. And in this particular instance, through meditation, he is able to see Lord Krishna and Mahamaya, the material energy, the external potency of Lord Krishna, who is fully in Lord Krishna's control. And she is standing behind Lord Krishna. Maya never steps in front of Lord Krishna. She always stays in his, behind him. That is the aspect of showing that I am fully controlled by Lord Krishna. I am subservient to Lord Krishna. I am always serving. So that is the role of Maya. So this verse helps us understand. But then, in the next verse, Srila Vyasadeva is revealing something very amazing. Yaya sammohito jiva atmaram trigunatmakam. So again, Yaya sammohito, from this material energy is causing delusion to the living entities, to us. And we are thinking Atmakam, Trigunatmakam, that we are made up of the three modes of material energy. We are considering this body as ourselves, mode of goodness, mode of passion, mode of ignorance. When they are churned with time, the various activities happen, the material elements come into action, and we get these bodies under the influence of the three modes of material nature. Even though apo api manute, so even though apo means apparo, even though we are transcendental to the material nature, we think under illusion that we are product of the three modes of material nature, that we are this body. So this is the biggest illusion that comes in. Manute anartham. So again, that is also very important. Manute anartham refers to that we think, our mindset, our ability, and the interesting aspect is we think that thinking is done by the mind, which is also a product of material energy. And we're thinking what is not, anartham, that which is not true. So that is also very important for us to understand. Tad kridam chabhi padyate. And thus, in this illusion state, thinking I am the product of this body, we start to serve the body. We start to engage in sense gratification, engage in eat, sleep, mate, defend with respect to the body, and forget our relationship. So this is what Maya does. It clouds our vision to see Lord Krishna and completely makes us think. So who's thinking? We are thinking. It is still us. Even though we are transcended to the material modes of, modes of material nature, the three modes of material nature, we think that we are product of material energy. Now, are there any examples in Srimadbhagavatam that talk about this? Yes. Through Maharaj, he wanted to get onto the lap of his father. And Uttanpad, being, seeing Suruchi, whose favorite queen, who's the stepmother of Dhruv Maharaj, didn't say anything when Suruchi pushed Maharaj from Uttanpad's, lap. And Dhruv Maharaj took it as a great offense. And being a Kshatriya, he was biting his teeth, feeling insulted. And then she said things which were even more insulting and more heart-piercing. And in that state, he decided to get greater kingdom than his great-grandfather, Lord Brahma, who is the, master of Satyalok. Brahmalok is also another name for Satyalok. So in this material world, that's the topmost planet. Yet at the same time, we understand that Lord gave him Dhruv Loka, which is beyond it. But Dhruv Maharaj was not looking for that Dhruv Loka. He was just happy to see the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And he was saying, now that I have seen the diamonds, I'm realizing my, foolishness in looking for some pieces of glasses. And he is now also glorifying the importance of spiritual master, Sage Narad, who actually enlightened him. And because of the mercy of the spiritual master, he is able to see the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Any other person who may have experienced a similar occurrence in their life? Yes. King Chitraketu is another example. He wanted to beget a son. He had, he had 1 crore, 10 million wives, but he didn't have a son. All of them were barren. But by the mercy of Angarishi and Devashi Narad, he was able to beget a son who was poisoned by his other queens because they became envious. And then Devashi Narad and Angarishi, they came and revealed to him, even though they could bring the boy back to life, help him understand that the boy is saying, what parents are you talking about? I have taken so many births and I have had so many parents in my previous lives as well. And from that revelation, suddenly King Chitraketu got detached from his material body and he understood the purpose of life is to engage in devotional service unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Krishna. And so much so that when he was engaging in devotional service, he actually became the king of the Gandharva-lokas, again, celestial planets. And then again he was cursed. But at the same time, this time when he was cursed by Goddess Parvati, he accepted it because he had transcended the three modes of material nature. He was completely aligned to the purpose of life. And that's how finally he attained perfection as Vratrasur, when he was killed by Indra. Indra didn't kill him, he actually left his body before Indra could cut his throat. But we hear from these examples. And so this material energy is very powerful. Why? Because we accept it to be powerful. By severing a link with the Supreme Personality of Godhead and taking Atmanam Trigunatmakam. Right? And in that stage, when we think that we are products of this material energy, we, even though are transcendental, aparo api, manute, anartham. Anartham is that which is not. So we are not this material body, but we take it to be this material body. And thus, we suffer in this life. So, Jan Mittu Jara Vyadhi Dukha Doshanu Darshanam. So, birth, death, old age, and disease, these are, the known miseries. Now here, what is the solution? Anato pashmam sakshat bhakti yoga madhokshaje lokasya jananto vidvans chakre satvata samhitam. The next verse reveals, Anartho pashmam sakshat bhakti yoga madhokshaje. Jyotis, all these anarthas, the useless things caused by this delusion, they can be eradicated by the process of bhakti yoga. Bhakti yogam unto who? Adhokshaje, unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Lokasya jananto, but the general populace does not know this. That's why Vidwan. Now here Vidwan refers to Srila Vyasdev. Chakre, he wrote Satvata Samhitan, the transcendental literature, Srimadbhagavatam, so that we can understand the importance of Bhakti Yoga. Now it's very interesting. Sometimes people say, what is the link? We understand that in this verse, very nicely it's being revealed that people have forgotten that through Bhakti Yoga, they can establish this relationship again. They can actually connect with the Supreme Personality of Godhead, just like Vyasadeva did in this particular verse 174. However, why are they not able to create it once again? And he's writing a literature. What is this literature has to do with devotional service? Well, every verse in Srimad Bhagavatam is immersed with devotional service, the message of devotional service. And that is revealed in the next verse, 177, the seventh verse of the seventh chapter of the first canto. Yasyamapi Shruyamanayam Krishne Paramapurushe Bhakti Utpadyate Pumsaha Shoka Moha Bhayapaha. So, what is the effect of this? When we Yaya. So again, Yasyev, Yasyam Eva, Shushriya Marayanam. So when we take to hearing this attentively, this literature, so again, you all are doing the Sravanam of this literature. So when we engage in hearing the message of Srimad Bhagavatam, when we read, when we hear, when we are Shrotagana, right? We are the audience of this literature, Srimad Bhagavatam. That is where, and Srimad Bhagavatam is Krishna Paramapurushe Bhakti Utpadyate. So it invokes in our heart the devotional service unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And Pumsa Shoka Moha Bhayapaha. So it completely extinguishes the fire of Shoka, lamentation, Moha, delusion that we are this body, this delusion is gone, and we come to realize that we are not this body, we are the spirit soul. And Bhayapaha, and the fear, because when we think of the body, then we talk of different types of distresses. Distresses coming from living entities, distresses coming from higher demigods, and distresses coming from our own mind. Hare Krishna Devi, I see your hand is raised.
Sorry to disturb. I just wanted to quickly check with you. Are we showing the right verse on the screen? It seems like
I just kept the first verse, but we can show the right verse. Okay.
okay. Maybe you want to show the seventh verse also?
Sure.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes. Yasyam Vaishyamanam Krishna Paramapurushe Bhakti Utpadyate Pumsa Shoka Moha Maha Bhayapaha. So it completely extinguishes the fire. So again, we all understand when we are engaging in different activities, thinking that we are this body, then we have different kind of lamentations. Oh, if I had the opportunity, I would have done things differently in the past. That is lamenting about the past. Moha, this is like, I'm this body, so I should do some activities, and looking to make further plans for sense gratification. And in both states, we are in a fearful state. While as living entities, when we engage, because when we understand Jivera Surupaya Krishna Nityadas. So first is our Sambandha, we understand we are eternal servant of Lord Shri Krishna. So our activities become only the activities that satisfy Lord Krishna. And when we are engaging in those activities, there is no winning and losing. There is only the mood of giving. And even if there is a failure, we continue to try again and seeks Lord guidance so as to satisfy Him. Which also means we have to have some intelligence. When Srila Prabhupada, in the early days, he was given one of the book, Bhagavad Gita, he opened it and just fell apart. It's like, what does this need? So the devotees are feeling very bad. Srila Prabhupada just opened the book and all the pages fell apart, the whole binding fell apart. They said, Srila Prabhupada, what can we do? We are so fallen. We are so ignorant. We are in complete darkness. They were talking in this manner, one after another. Srila Prabhupada still says, so what should we do? What requires? What is required here? And they were like, what can we do? We are completely ignorant. You have to guide us. Then Srila Prabhupada said, some intelligence is required. So we have to still use our intelligence. And that is the amazing part. Devotees always pay attention. They take out a thorn with a thorn. So yes, Maya has given us this body made up of three, under the influence of three modes of material nature, and we use this body itself to cross over the ocean of nescience, this material energy. So it's taking out a thorn with another thorn. Sometimes we have like some kind of thorn that goes in, or a bamboo stick or something that goes inside the skin. We use another needle, that's another thorn, to take it out from here. So that's one nice example, and that's what acharyas actually reveal in the Shastra, that we have to be intelligent enough. So when we look from that perspective, things become much more clear. And we have to engage in our service where we are now and here, not that, oh, if I have such and such arrangement, then I will engage in devotional service. That will never happen. We are in an ocean and the waves are hitting us left and right. You cannot say, hey, waves, you stop. Let me prepare myself so that I can engage in devotional service. I can cross over you. No. In this regard, another story comes to mind. Once there was this person, he was visiting the temple all the time, and he was always talking to the devotees like, you guys are so wonderful, you guys are so elevated. How can I become so fortunate like you? So one of the senior devotees said, why don't you join us? And join us immediately, right now. He says, no, I have to take care of my family, I have to take care of my parents, I have to do my job, I have to take care of this debt and that debt. He was giving his long list of things to do. So the devotees, they kind of like said, okay, take care of those. Another day he came and he saw one devotee who was sitting, on the bank of a river. So he said, oh, this is very nice. And then what are you looking at? So he said, did you drop something in the river? Because this devotee was really looking at the river, very intently, as if, in the beginning itself. Did you drop anything in the river? He says, no, I didn't drop anything. Then why are you looking at so intently? The devotee says, I'm just thinking of crossing the river. So it's like, but you're not crossing the river, you're sitting on the bank. It's like, yeah, I'm waiting for the current to stop. And when the current will stop, then I will cross the river. The man laughs. He's like, what are you talking about? The current will never stop. It's a river. River always has a flow current. You have to cross, then just jump in and cross. He said, that's what I was telling you yesterday. The current will never stop. Life will always throw something at you all the time. You have to start focusing on engaging in devotional service now and here. It doesn't mean you move to the temple. Just wherever our situation is, that is the state Lord Krishna has placed us for us to engage in loving devotional service. And that is possible when we give attentive oral reception to this Vedic literature, Srimadbhagavatam. Then the loving devotional service unto Lord Shri Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, will automatically sprout, and it will completely destroy the lamentation, the illusion, and the fearfulness that comes by associating in this body, the gross and subtle bodies, under the three modes of material nature. Now, many personalities we know who have done this. One of the simple examples is Gajendra. He was in an elephant's body. He was in a dire state. The crocodile was taking it away. And Gajendra realized, what if, even if, I die, still I'll have another life. I just want to get out of this circle of birth and death. And so he immediately sprouted the lotus flower and offered it to Lord. Lord Hari came and rescued him and took him back home, back to Godhead. So that should be the mood. We are all in different states, and none of us are in the dire state as Gajendra. Now somebody says, nice example, Prabhu, what, and it seems to be happening in heavenly planets. On the Trikuta mountain, where the ocean of milk is there are 5 places where ocean of milk has been identified in Srimad Bhagavatam. This is one of the places. Shirodaksha Vishnu, also ocean of milk. Dhruv, again, another ocean of milk, where Lord Vishnu is there. And Satyaloka, another ocean of milk is there. So again, there's so many places ocean of milk is there. These are heavenly realm. What about this earth? Where is the example in Srimad Bhagavatam? Well, the very example of Parikshit Maharaj is there. That Parikshit Maharaj himself is cursed to die in 7 days. And by giving oral reception, he attains perfection. So he is glorified as an example of Sravanam. And of all the 9 processes, my dear devotees, Sravanam is the easiest and the most powerful one. And you all are already performing that. So again, we have to engage in devotional service by giving oral reception. The loving devotional service will sprout at the heart by the mercy of the Lord. So we make our endeavor, and Lord, He blesses us. That's the causeless mercy, and thus extinguishes the fire of lamentation, illusion, and fearfulness. Now, let me stop sharing and ask you. Now, help me understand. What all other examples can you identify from Srimadbhagavatam where a devotee has actually become liberated just by giving oral reception? Any more examples? Or in devotional service? Yes, Prahadananda Prabhu, please go ahead.
Pranam Prabhuji.
Yes.
We see the example of Parikshit Maharaj himself.
Yes.
He just listened to what Sukdev Goswami said,
Mhm.
and he got liberated just by oral reception. That's how he developed that love for Lord Shri Krishna. Like
Yes.
that.
Yes.
Another one is Ajamil. Ajamil offenselessly chanted Lord Narayan's name throughout after the birth of his child. And
Yes.
even at the time of living body, he just called his son by his name. And that was perfect, offenseless chanting. That's why he was rescued. So these are a few examples from Bhagavatam Prabhuji.
Yes.
Very
Yes.
good.
Definitely. Yeah. So we covered Parikshit Maharaj example. Ajamil, his example is also very interesting. And this is coming from the Puranas. When we look at the Ajamil's pastime in the 6th canto, the first 3 chapters, it is said that he named his youngest son Narayan, right? But how did he end up naming his son Narayan? There's also another story. A great sage who was getting his lot of itching on his body. And so he asked his friend Parvatmani, he says, I'm getting all this itch on the body. What do I do? Parvatmani says, you know what? You have become too pure, and that's causing this itchiness. You have to become, you have to eat the remnants of the most sinful person in this world. And so that will take away the itchiness. And so he says, who's the most sinful person? So he says, Ajamil. And the sage goes. And he says, where is Ajamil's home? And it's very interesting. At another place, the sage is asking, where is Ajamil's home? And everyone is saying, there are some people near his home, they are sitting and they're like, oh, that's his Ajamil home. But why are you going there, Baba? Because I have to get something from him. So they're like, oh, so he must be very pure. They're kind of like making joke, which got translated into some people saying that these people were, when the sage asked, who's the most pure person, they said Ajamil and then directed him. Actually, the sage was looking for the most sinful person. But they felt that this great sage is looking for Ajamil, and they were joking with him that he's the most pure person. The sage ignored them. He went to Ajamil's home, and there's this prostitute. His wife was sitting, feeding a baby. And so he said, can I get something? So even at those times where Ajamil was the most sinful person, the regard for sages was still there. Srila Prabhupada identifies this distinction from current age, Kali age. She immediately realized that there is a sadhu at her door, a saintly person is at her door, and she immediately comes and bows down and she says, how can I help you? And he says, can I get some remnants of Ajamil? So she had brought some nice grain and other stuff for him. She's like, no, he's very sinful. Why do you want? He says, no, I only want Ajamil's remnants. I don't want anything else. So she says, okay, I should give him what he's asking for. She gets him some of this. And so when she brings it, he takes a few bites and his itching is gone. And he says, thank you very much. He turns back and he's going, and suddenly he said, you know what? I drew some benefit from, eating the remnants. I should give something in return. And so he goes back and he says, what's the baby's name? And she gives like, name of, really like of an animal or insects. Sometimes we have those kind of names even in current times. Sometimes people have their kids' name as Papu, which actually means pup, which is another name for a baby of a dog. And those kind of names are very prevalent even in current times. So we have to be very careful how someone has been named. So he says, no, don't call him that. Call him Narayan. And she says, okay, the sage is saying I should be calling him Narayan. So when Ajamil comes back, she gives him the whole, describes the whole incident. And she says, the sage blessed him with the name Narayan. And so Ajamil says, very nice. So we'll call him Narayan. And when Ajamil would, he was very much attached to this, boy. He was 83 years old, and yet at the same time, 2.5-year-old boy. He would call Narayan, come sit with me. Narayan, come eat with me. Narayan, come here. Narayan, come in my lap. He would pick Narayan, love him, calling him Narayan. He was calling him offenselessly, not intentionally. He was just calling him Narayan offenselessly, and that's what purified. So when Vishnudut appeared, they said he has already chanted the name of the Lord so many times. And that has been effective. So just like when we take medicine, we may not know how the medicine is going to work in our body, but we have faith in the medicine, we take the medicine, and then it has its effect. Similarly, Lord's name has its effect. We have to just take it faithfully with attention. Hare Krishna. And so today the discussion is all about Srimadbhagavatam. And we should all read Srimadbhagavatam. We should hear Srimadbhagavatam. There are so many videos by the devotees. And sometimes, yes, you would see so many brahmacharis engage in so many activities. I'm reminded of various activities that go on in life. Once Radhanath Maharaj, His Holiness Radhanath Maharaj, he was at a marriage ceremony. And as he was addressing the crowd, one of the brahmacharis, he asks, Maharaj, what about the marriage for brahmacharis? In ISKCONs, very few brahmacharis, they talk about, they talk about marriage, they consider marriage, and very few brahmacharis, they marry afterwards. Why is the case? Sometimes that is also asked. So His Holiness Radhanath Maharaj, he very nicely describes it. The brahmachari further says, because Maharaj, every lady that we meet, we have to consider them as our mother. We call them Mataji. So which particular Mataji should we choose to marry? That would not sound appropriate. So Radhanath Maharaj is, slowly giggles and he says, that's why I did not marry. So we have to understand because, and this is a way of saying, but then everyone, wherever we are, we can take to devotional service. And that is an important aspect. But at the same time, this material energy is very powerful. My Guru Maharaj, His Holiness Gopal Krishna Goswami Maharaj, he used to say, yes, Sravanam is very powerful, but we have to be attentive and pure in our approach. So when we are doing Sravanam Kirtana Vishnu Smaram, we are chanting. So father teaches his son how to chant. Tulsi Mala, keep your index finger outside, you're chanting on each beat, the whole mantra, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Go to the next one, chant the whole mantra. The next one, chant the whole mantra. The child understood it so well. The next morning, the father woke up his son. They started chanting. The son said, can I just do the chanting in my room? And father said, yes. In 15 minutes, the son was like, wandering around. He's like, what happened? It's like, I finished my rounds. Father says, wait a minute. I'm still on my third round. How did you finish your rounds? The son says, I finished all 16 rounds, just like you said. So father says, show me. That's an important question. So we have to be very careful. We have to be curious instead of running into judgment, or making an assumption that he didn't do. The father says, show me. The son says, yes, I held just like you said. And I said, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Ditto, 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 ditto. He did exactly what father told him. That in the next beat, do the same thing, do the same thing, do the same thing. But he rationalized it. So we have to understand, we cannot take to cheating and we cannot take to misunderstanding. So the instructions have to be clear. And that's why chanting should be done in early stages, in association with the devotees, so that we understand the importance of chanting is to focus thinking and hearing and meditating on the name. And at this point of time, I would open the forum to ask if you have any question. So for question answer session, if you have anything you would like to share. Tantra Srimadbhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Srila Bhagavad ki jai, Anant Kori Vaishnava Vind ki jai, Nitai Go Premanande, Hari Hari Bol. Hare Krishna. Any question at this time?
Yes, Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Very quickly, I was thinking I will just summarize
Please.
the key essence, the essence from the key verses.
Mhm.
So these verses are nicely inspiring us to seek guidance from bona fide spiritual mentors to have a clarity on how to engage in bhakti yoga, the devotional service, to gain clarity and purpose, to learn how to express inner realizations through service that benefits others, ourselves, and others spiritually. So, when Vyasadeva compiled Srimadbhagavatam after being instructed by Narad Muni, he engaged in bhakti yoga, and he then meditated on Supreme Lord and his energies. And practically, if we want to apply it, we can also engage in daily remembrance. The idea is to 24/7 come to the stage of remembrance of the Lord through engagement in any of the 9 processes of devotional service, beginning with the chanting of the holy names, offering prayers, reading, and all that. And that understand the world as Krishna's energy is not separate from him. So in this way, we can cultivate the spiritual vision, param drishtva nivartate, to see the divine presence in whatever we do. And when Vyasadeva sees Maya under full control of the Lord, in the 6th verse, it was nicely explained. So instead of having this tendency to blame the world, let us understand that illusion, Maya, is under Lord's control. And in this way, we can strive to act with some level of detachment and devotion, which is free from issues like ego and other anarthas. And in this way, we can avoid getting caught up in temporary distractions and stay aligned or connected with what we are learning from Sadhu, Guru, and Shastra. This illusion, which constantly appears in the pages of Srimad Bhagavatam, this mention of illusion, it describes that people are full of dualities and they forget Krishna. They are in forgetfulness of Krishna. So once we realize how dualities like happiness, sorrow, success, failure, fame, infamy, how they disturb the peace of mind, we can practice with more sincerity the remembrance of Krishna to transcend these ups and downs and make conscious efforts to connect our thoughts, words, deeds to the Supreme Lord to avoid the forgetfulness. There is a very famous quote by Prabhupada, which keeps circulating on social media. He prays, "Oh Lord, let me always remember you and never forget you." And so in this way, once we reflect on these verses deeply, we can live a meaningful life, a Krishna-centered life. We can watch out whatever we consume, either by prasadam or by what we see around us, what we hear, is it spiritually uplifting? So in this way, we can always make a choice that whatever we are observing and practicing is nourishing the soul and not just entertaining the mind. Rupa Goswami talked about 6 principles which help in spiritual advancement. And one of them is to avoid prajalpa, gossip, purposeless talks, prefer sattvic discussions, So we can learn, we can make it a practice to offer our speech, writing, and talents in service of God, just like Srila Vyasadeva did. He compiled so many scriptures in glories of the Lord. And it's described that compiling so many scriptures, unless one describes the glories of the Lord, all efforts are like a place of pilgrimage for the crows. So we don't want to be on that kind of pilgrimage, but we want to follow in the footsteps of, Vaishnavacharyas, Vyasadeva, Narad Muni, and so that we can also have proper direction, so that we feel our life is complete in service of the Lord. We can also really feel that speaking and hearing about Krishna brings deep satisfaction, and so that we can infuse our devotional service into daily actions. That's all I wanted to add. At this point, before we sign out, I would like to invite any of you, if you want to say a few words. Let's all chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra while you think about it, and then we will end the call. Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna, Krishna
Krishna
Krishna,
Krishna, Hare Hare,
Hare Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Pralananda Prabhu.
Yes, Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam, and thank you for allowing me to speak. The gist of what you said today, I feel, is that, still Prabhupada also in purpose is giving full emphasis on Bhakti Yoga, right? And this is what we should imbibe from studying Srila Prabhupada's purpose and Bhagavatam like that. That, Bhakti Yoga is the only option we have in our Kali Yuga life. Kali Yuga life is prayana alpayusha satya kala asmin yuge jana. We have got so many problems in kala kalor dos nidhe rajan jatri yasya mahan guna kirtanadev krishna se mukta sangha paramved. So if we can follow in footsteps of the Prabhupada's teachings, which are Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's message, that we should purely, sincerely do even little bhakti, that will give us supreme benefit of our human form of life. So that's what I little wanted to add, Prabhuji. Thank you very much again for allowing.
It just reminded me of a very important aspect I wanted to cover. So by hearing Srimad Bhagavatam, the devotional service would sprout in our heart. But somebody could say, how do I get to hear Srimad Bhagavatam? Yes, he wrote Srimad Bhagavatam, but I don't have taste in Srimad Bhagavatam. How do I hear Srimad Bhagavatam? How do I get the eagerness in hearing Srimad Bhagavatam? There is a beautiful verse in Srimad Bhagavatam we covered in earlier sessions. Shushusho Shaddadhanasya Vasudeva Katharuchi Sevya Vipra Punyatita Nishevanat. So, when we do service to the saintly persons, the devotees, advanced devotees, then that gets us the ruchi, that gets us the interest to hear about the glories of Lord Shri Krishna that is in this literature. So, Shushushu Shraddha Dhan, with faith and attention, when we serve the Lord, then we get the eagerness to hear the literature. So that is also a very important aspect. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Madam. Very good.
Hare Krishna. Gantra Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Srila Bhagavatam ki jai, Janant ki jai. Go Premanande.
Hari Hari Hari.
Om Tat Sat. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.